Hey everybody, ronarray here, and this is part 2 of my 0 to Hero BAMA video. On the previous episode we have effortlessly defeated Ether and Exile and got 2 watchstones. Time to grind some more and improve the build further, reaching tier 17 and defeating Maven and Elder. I've set up my crops pretty nicely and been sending shipments to get some divines or additional currency with kinda limited success. As a farming strategy, I decided to invest into dropping more mobs, to make my mob pool as big as possible, and go for the ritual, since the Necro settlers is semi-solo self-found and there's not a lot of people playing it and not a lot of trading going around. To get more currency, I've been also using PoE mob device website to track when tumbling valve or monster packs with chances for divine drops appear, and I think it's currently the best way to farm currency in Necro settlers. However, I wasn't particularly lucky with the ritual drops so far, but raw divine drops went completely crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them! Whoa, that's a lot of luck! And a lot of currency that can be used for upgrades. Now we can push the build further and start transforming it closer to the endgame version. So now it's time to choose the body armor. Two main options will be the Covenant, which can provide additional chaos damage for the minions, and the Fourth Vow, which can be combined with Divine Flash and provide additional tankiness to survive better in the endgame. On the Necro settlers market, Fourth Vow was significantly harder to get, and I found a pretty cheap corrupted Covenant with +2 to the socketed minion gems and 6 links at the same time. So I decided to go for more damage over survivability here. Feel free to pick the Fourth Vow instead if your goal is different. And don't forget to get the gem for Divine Flash as well if you'll go that route. So generally it's volatility, awakened minion damage support, increased critical damage, concentrated and fresh meat support. Also sold some small stuff, and have you seen how much ambush Scarab costs? Crazy stuff. Selling those helped me to get more chaoses, to buy more basic stuff and some Scarabs for my farming strategy. So I also been buying some additional minion jewels, because those could improve my damage. But my real goal was getting the Green Nightmare jewel. Its cost starts around 9 divines on the trade for Necro settlers right now, and there are, to be honest, not a lot of them. At some moments there have been literally 0 selling at the market. It would be much easier and cheaper to drop Chiyula Blessing to upgrade it from Green Dream, which is very cheap. Or so I thought. I bought a lot of Chiyula Splinters. 1 Chiyula is down and no Blessing. I didn't buy all those Splinters to give up after the first fail, right? So let's buy some more. And nope. Third time's a charm, perhaps? Don't give up and always believe in your RNG. So let's buy the Green Dream, click it with the Chiyula Blessing and put Green Nightmare here. Now we'll use the Iron Huey Moonwarden tattoo, and boom, we have 100 suppress. This jewel is really cool, because it can provide a lot of additional suppression for a very small amount of investment. And to cap it, we just need tattoos for cold resistance and 1 tattoo for +2 spell suppression. And final Maven Crucible been pretty easy as well. 5th map slot received, and I think it's a perfect time to just change my Atlas strategy. So generally I decided to repick it and just focus on harvest instead. Selling juice is pretty straightforward and always in demand even in the event. It's also more stable, because unlike Ritual you don't depend on big once in a while drops, and you can always just sell all the juice that you're receiving in the mobs. You can also sell it exactly for divines, which is a very great way. And you can sell it on Fossils Exchange too, which makes it even faster. So talking about my tree, I genuinely picked all explicit modifiers everywhere. I decided to invest into Eldritch Gaze because I would use Ether as my main influence in the maps, and I think getting Call of the Grove automatically in every map is a great way. I also blocked all the content because I think that way there's bigger chance to receive great Scarabs such as Ambush Scarabs or cartography scarabs, and I think it should work just fine. And as a main scarab for that strategy, I would just use Harvest Scarab of Dublin, because that way we can get more life force, and I think it's worth it, even considering the scarab costs like 35 kelsos. And right now, it is the time to sell the bow. I sold my bow for one more divine than I pretty much got Voltaxic for. I think Voltaxic stacks very good with everything in the build that we already received, because lightning damage stacks very well with Perkville, Toe and volatility that we already have in the build. Voltaxic will also give us a chance to shock the enemies, so we will do significantly more damage to them. And we are keeping all our chaos bonuses and the wither, which is going to improve our damage even further. So let's go and test our new Voltaxic bow against the Maven. And whoa, I also think that damage with Voltaxic is just insane, even without further investment. So that's been kinda pretty easy, and the draw been kinda lucky to me as well. Well, I definitely appreciate that, Maven. So let's go back to farm tier 16s. I also wanted to comment on what bonifiers we need to avoid. Generally, since we are using Purity of Elements, we can't really run reduced effect of non-curse auras from skills, because that way we will not have resistances. Also, players cannot regenerate life, mana or energy shield is pretty bad as well, because we will just not have mana to pretty much cast our minions. I also usually try to avoid minus to all maximum resistances, physical damage is extra chaos damage, and players has less cooldown reduction. Less cooldown recovery rate is pretty much leading to a situation when we just have a huge cooldown on main minion skill up to 4 seconds, and it's not really feeling comfortable. Most of the other modes we can farm just fine. I'm also going to leave the REGEX in the description of the video, so check it out if you're interested in it. So after that I decided to farm some Guardians, mostly to reach Elder Fight. However, I wasn't that lucky with the drops, and Guardian maps are pretty scarce in Necro settlers as well. So after trying the Guardians, I decided to just go back to farming Harvest, which netted me a pretty good return, and I was able to sell all my Harvest life force very quickly and without any issue, so I made quite a bank on that. So I think right now is the right time to get more auras in. I got new Perkvilles too with +1 to all maximum resistances. It would be better to have additional cures here, but well, we have what we have. I also buffed it with Charisma for better mana reservation, and got a new helmet with Thocketed Gems get 90% cost and reservation multiplier. After that, with taking Righteous Decree, I'm finally able to get more auras in. So with all changes available, I will be able to add Wrath. And since we are using Voltaxic right now, Wrath can give us about 20-25% of additional damage. So Wrath together with Purity of Elements, Enlightenment and Determination is goes to the helmet, and Precision and Clarity stays in the other items. And I think it's time to go and get Elder Pieces. And whoa, to be honest, those been kinda hard to buy, because most people are not really selling them and there's not a lot on the market. At some point at Fourth Vow there's been literally zero of some parts that are kinda necessary for the Elder fight. However, I got them after bothering for some time. To be honest, I think the fight been pretty easy, because our minions can automatically target any target that is available to hit at the moment, like Shaper or Elder or Portals or anything like that. And I think it's one of the most comfortable builds to pretty much fight Uber Elder version. And it went pretty easy for me. And I think the build is pretty much ready to farm tier 17s as well. Generally, if you take it slowly, it should feel very good with BAMA. However, if your map is not really overbuffed with damage modifiers, you can even take it fast and just run through the map. Also, Harvest in tier 17 can net a pretty decent return, together with some nice Scarabs and maps on top. So farming tier 17 been a pretty nice experience. I pretty much completed all of them at least once to test the build against different bosses, and it felt pretty good. The cat arena is probably the best dropping one, and I really enjoy that fight. She can pretty much slam us with a big hit here, however just avoiding it by teleporting with a blink arrow through the arena helps a lot. Fortress is very easy, and it's probably the easiest map if you want to farm it. Citadel I honestly hate it, and it's a very long boss fight when you need to constantly kill reappear monsters, so I really try to avoid it most of the time. Abomination is pretty easy as well, because your minions are going to target most of the bosses that are available at the moment, and it should be pretty relaxed. And Lucia, surprisingly, was one of the most annoying fights for me as well, because she casts a lot of abilities that are harder for us to dodge. So out of all tier 17s, I would prefer farming like Fortress, Abomination and Ziggurat with Katarina, mostly for the drops. But any of them are possible depending on the modifiers, because build works very good on those maps. I think changing to the Fourth Vow with a nice Scarab would be a great way to improve survivability, and adding Darkness and Taunt with particularly good Hollow Ghastly Eye Jewels would be a great idea as well. However, none of them are available currently, that's why I decided to avoid that stuff for now. I think adding at least one Cluster Jewel could be a great idea as well, because it can improve damage for your minions, and that way you can get more Ghastly Eye Jewels into your build. Also add your Blink Arrow of Prismatic Clones to your main setup, so just drop in increased critical damage support and get Blink Arrow of Prismatic Clones in. That way you will have a 5 link instead of a 6 link, so only 4 supports will be available, but you will be able to get maximum damage from both your Mirror Arrow and Blink Arrow clones. And I think it will boost your single target damage as well. That way you will open a lot of slots in your bow, which you can use for Animated Guardian, because Animated Guardian could be very great for the endgame. You can also add Spectres, for example, which will be able to still provide you with Feeding Frenzy. However, you will need to drop Haste and Guardian Blessing support, otherwise they will die too fast. I think all of those combinations can push the build even further, but well, I'm leaving it for maybe part 3 of Zero to Hero video. So that's been part 2 of my Zero to Hero Chaos BAMA Necromancer video. I think the build played very good, and it's been enjoyable farming tier 17 with it, harder content and even reaching bosses. I also think the build should be uber viable even in the current state. I tried at least one Uber, and if survivability is not that high, damage is definitely enough for it. I'm sure it could be pushed even further with more upgrades. However, Necro Settlers right now is a league that not a lot of people play, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pursue it, especially since we are moving to Path of Exile 2 soon. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next videos. ronarray out.